Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of We Are Not Entertained. I'm Brock Gorton, all by myself, because Tommy Haley is currently down in Louisiana right now, and I couldn't find anyone else to, plug that hole that is being left behind, thanks to him not being here with us here tonight for this recording. So I am here by myself. It's a loaded show. We have to review the most recent episode of Survivor Series that happened tonight of recording, actually. Also, WWE's latest batch of releases, as they just keep letting a whole bunch of people go. And also, we have a review of the November 10th, 2011 Superstars, episode of Superstars from November 10th, 2011. The main event was Daniel Bryan versus William Regal. And I have a lot of thoughts on that matchup and all the matches there. But let's get kicked off with the most recent thing to happen. That would be WWE Survivor Series emanating from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Of course, per always with Survivor Series, it was a brand supremacy, winner take all. And on the first match of the night, actually, happened on the kickoff show, as the Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura, along with Rick Boogs, took on the United States Champion Damian Priest. Of course, Shinsuke Nakamura representing SmackDown and Damian Priest representing Raw. And the match was a pre-show matchup. It was unfortunately on the pre-show, which is not where it should have been. And through the magic of editing, we are back right here, as I was saying. Damian Priest representing Raw, and Shinsuke Nakamura representing SmackDown. Again, as I was saying, this should not be the pre-show match in the slightest. This feels like a slight to both these guys in all entirety. Match was alright, and a little disqualification, Priest got disqualified. He's a heel at this point, so doesn't surprise me. It's a pre-show, nothing matters. Shinsuke wins. It was just alright. Up next was a match that wow, just wow. So much hype going into this for pretty much all the wrong reasons. It was Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. Wow, so much to talk about beforehand that I'm not going to talk about because I don't truly care. The online back and forth between the two. What can you expect from these two? It was another great match between them two. I mean, come on, it's Becky and Charlotte. If you expect anything less from them, I don't know where you've been the past 5 years. Another fantastic match, and it ended with none other than a Becky win. She pins pins Charlotte for the victory. If you hear any noise, it's because I'm in my room right now doing this instead of, Tommy is on a bench. But yeah, come on. If you expect anything less than a fantastic match between these two, I don't know where you've been. The next match. Ooh, lordy. 5-on-5 men's Survivor Series match. To review the teams for you. Team Raw, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, and Finn Balor versus Team SmackDown, King Xavier Woods, Sheamus, Happy Corbin from Kansas City, Drew McIntyre, and Jeff Hardy. Back and forth. Evans was eliminated first, which was weird. By wow, just wow. He was counted out, so I guess story progression, but then Corbin got eliminated by Balor. No surprise there. Then Woods got eliminated thanks to a hurt lock from Lashley. Lashley and Drew fought on the floor. They were counted out. I mean, that's just spillover from their rivalry that they had this past year for the title. Following that, Sheamus actually eliminated Finn Balor. So Irishman on Irishman action there. It was a brogue kick that put Finn away. So, I mean, I don't know if I would have had Finn get eliminated by Sheamus, but given the two that were available, I mean, Hardy probably would have made more sense. Anyway, Sheamus then attacked Hardy for no reason. So that's Sheamus. What the heck is happening here? Yeah. Sheamus was all right with Hardy, whatever. Austin Theory rolled him up. Bye, Sheamus. Sheamus then attacked Hardy, as I stated earlier, and Hardy was able to survive the 2-on-1 assault from Austin Theory and Seth Rollins. He then hit a swanton on Austin Theory. They eliminated. Austin Theory's eliminated. No, it is not also lost on me that Austin Theory was the final man eliminated from Monday Night Raw. I think there might be something to that there. Hardy and Rollins fared off. Stomp victory. It was an okay match. It was whatever. Again, Survivor Series matches, kind of hard to be that great, other than the one of 2015, or 2014, pardon me, between Team Cena versus The Authority. It's probably the best Survivor Series matchup of at least the last 10 years. Because, beyond that, I think you're going back to 2004. Although 11 had a really good one between Team Orton and Team Barrett. Up next was a 25-man Battle Royal. It was a giant Pizza Hut ad. Omos finally last eliminated Ricochet. Battle Royals are Battle Royals. Champion versus champion time, and yet again, it was RK Bro versus the Usos. Usos, of course, representing SmackDown. RK Bro representing Raw. This was also Orton's 177th pay-per-view match. So congratulations to Randy. He's one of my favorites of all time. So it's good to see that, that he gets that accomplishment. It was pretty good. It wasn't great. It was all right. RK Bro wins. RKO by Orton. Which I would think that you want to keep the bloodline strong, but whatever. What do I know? I'm no booker. Women's Survivor Series matchup next. Team Raw, Rhea Ripley, Carmella, Queen Zelina, Liv Morgan, and Bianca Belair versus Team SmackDown of Toni Storm, Shotzi Blackheart, or now just Shotzi, she's still Shotzi Blackheart, Shayna Baszler, Natalya, and Sasha Banks. Again, just fine. It was just fine. You can't really say much else. Carmella was eliminated first. Then Zelina. Liv Morgan scored a pin on Toni Storm after hitting Oblivion. Baszler eliminated Morgan. Go figure. Liv Morgan deserves better. She's really good in the ring. Then Rhea Ripley got eliminated. And then Bianca Belair became Super Cena, overcoming a 4-1 deficit. A turn by the rest of Team SmackDown, I guess would be the best way to put it, that caused Sasha Banks to be counted out. Okay. Natalya got eliminated by what else? It's a roll-up. The most, as Tommy would say, the most devastating move in all of wrestling. The surprise roll-up. Belair then eliminated Baszler. And then she beat Shotzi Blackheart. You've been building Liv Morgan up as the one that's going to challenge Becky for the title here coming up. Why not get her a little bit more shine than, just pinning Toni Storm? It's just, I don't know, man. This is the problem that I have with a lot of the stuff that both companies are doing right now. It just makes no goddamn sense. But it is now time for the main event. Thank the Lord above. Roman Reigns versus Big E Langston. This match slapped. Oh, it was so good. I mean, what else can you say? It's Big E. It's Roman. Of course it was going to be good. It's, as Big E would say, and as Tommy would say too, it's two big meaty men slapping meat. And it was a great hoss fight that had, the other newer conventional hoss fight intricacies, I guess you could say. Roman won. He won with a spear. Come on. You really thought Big E was going to beat Roman? I don't see Roman dropping that title anytime soon, and it would have to be Mania, and I think there's only about 2 people that can beat him. And only 2 people. Which is, whatever. It's just, And that was Survivor Series. Overall thoughts? Meh. I don't like the new format that they're doing. In the slightest for Survivor Series. I think the best one they've had recently was the one with NXT, because NXT just messed everyone up, and NXT should have won that. But that was this episode of this edition of Survivor Series by WWE for 2K21. It was alright. It's pretty much all that you can say. Well, that wasn't the only thing WWE did this week, because of course it wasn't. Oh, sweet God. So, as me and Tommy have covered multiple times on this podcast so far in our short edition, which I'm going to check real quick, but I think this is number 10. It is. Oh, yay. Tommy's not here for episode number 10. Well, thanks, bud. It's only our 10th one we've done. It's a milestone. I guess I'll celebrate the 10th at the end. Anyway, as we've noted several times here on this podcast, more WWE releases have come out. Thankfully, it is not as many as we've had before. However, it's still not good. We had 8 released this go around, and for the most part, I can kind of see all but 3 the reason why they were released. First one on the chopping block was John Morrison. He hadn't really been doing much. I don't know what this means for The Miz, but Johnny Drip Chip is no longer part of the company. The second time he's been released by them. Hopefully this means he goes back to Impact Wrestling so we can get Johnny Impact back, because that was awesome. Next up was Tegan Nox. She's been injury prone. It sucks because she's really, really good. She's been super injury prone. When I think Tegan Nox, I think of the match between her and Dakota Kai at Takeover Portland, I do believe. Almost 2 years ago now. God, that doesn't sound right to say. But yeah, I mean, that one sucks. Tegan's great. I don't know where she's going to go. If she goes to AEW, so be it. I hope she goes to the NWA, because that would be a fantastic fit. Before we get to the big, shocking surprise, Drake Maverick was up next. I haven't seen him on television recently. So, again, second time he's been released, or the first, depends on what camp you subscribe to, that he wasn't really released the first time. I'm part of the notion that he wasn't released the first time. It was part of a storyline, which is crappy. Up next was Shane Thorne. He hadn't been on television. The repackaging he was getting ready to do was the Crocodile Hunter. I guess. It's one of those. He didn't really have anything. Kind of made sense. Up next was Jackson Riker, which... Why? Just why? It makes sense to release him, but I don't get why it took this long to. Whatever. The big headliners was the rest of Hit Row being released. Top Dollar, Isaiah Swerve Scott, and Ashante the Adonis. All gone. This follows their former member, if I can find it again, B-Fab being eliminated, or being released earlier this month on November 4th. So this is the second batch of releases this month so far. And there's been 1, 2, 3... I'm not going to count Bray Wyatt as his own. So I'll call that one 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 batches of releases this year alone, totaling a total of 83 that have been released. One of those was Samoa Joe, so put an asterisk on it, I guess. So truly only 82 were released. But damn, man. Me and Tommy were talking off camera, because we do that a lot. We're best friends, so that makes sense. And we're also business partners, since we do this, and big time talkers all the time. His speculation is that WWE is getting ready to sell, which I would ask to whom, and I know who he would say. He would say NBC, which blah, but yeah, they're doing a lot of releases. 83 this year. I think it's like 200 something the past 2 years. Which, God. But yeah, those are the latest releases. You're to review them once again. John Morrison, Tegan Knox, the rest of Hit Row, Drake Maverick, Shane Thorne, Jackson Riker. It just makes me sick, honestly. Seeing all of them just tossed out like that. Just sad. Honestly, I don't know what else to say on it, and I don't really know how to transition out of that to the next segment here. Other than one of those guys that was released earlier this year is Daniel Bryan. And that was the subject of this week's review that I did by myself. No Tommy Haley. Just me. And this is probably going to be a quick episode of Wayne. Not a surprise. I like having Tommy to bounce back and forth with on subjects. Helps pad things out, makes things more interesting. So I guess I'll do my favorite moments of Wayne so far after this review. But first of all, Superstars from November 10th, 2011, emanating from Liverpool, England. Here are my full notes, getting us started off. So this episode is free on YouTube. All you got to do is just look up WWE Superstars November 10th, 2011, or as it was first shown to me, type in William Regal theme prank. We will get to that in our main event of the evening. But to get us kicked off, it was the best WWE intro, where it showed footage of WWE television, or WWF, Capital Wrestling, that group of television, since its inception up until the present day when it happened, which was 2011. So keep that with a grain of salt. Superstar, in my opinion, Superstars was at its peak from when 2009, when it debuted in 2009 till the start of 2012. It was the best. Basically, the WGN America time that it was on there, that era of Superstars is the best. The proper show gets kicked off with the intro. God, I love Adelita's Way. Invincible Adelita's Way plays. Those of you who know Adelita's Way, shout out to you. It's a great band. Great song to get us kicked off with Invincible. Pretty well cut together, although you can tell what clips are from non-Superstars tapings, such as one shot where it's clearly WrestleMania 25. But yeah, we're in England for this one, and you can tell by the classic WWE in England stage setup, the English flags draped down, the red telephone booth, and the old-timey car with the WWE license plate. Yes, I too, when I think of England, those are the things I think of as well. Josh Matthews and Matt Stricker on the call for this one, so both these guys are still color commentators in wrestling right now, which is wild to think about. And overall on the show, I actually kind of like their duo together. I like them as a duo. They're pretty good. They had some gems later on in this show that we'll get to. But they were very hyping up the main event here tonight with Bryan and Regal, saying Regal's return home and all that. They did the graphic, and behind Regal's the Union Jack, which is basically just saying, hey, root for this guy. I think the only way that could have been better is if he came out singing God Save the Queen. But here we go, first matchup time, and who else to come out first but Justin Gabriel? Yeah! My man, Justin Gabriel comes out. Coming out with probably the best theme song on the show, actually, now that I think about it. Looking back, it's either him or his opponent who had the best theme songs on the show. But he just comes out with that song, and we're introduced to the PA announcer for tonight's introduction, our ringside announcer. It's current AEW ring announcer Justin Roberts. Which, when you're looking at everyone that wrestled on the show, and none of them are currently with WWE, it made for a very interesting dynamic. And then the ring announcer for the main event made it even more interesting. But he introduces Justin Gabriel from Cape Town, South Africa. And then a theme song played that I have not heard in a very, very long time. And out comes Kurt Hawkins. Now, I'm not completely sure on this, but based off the attire, I'm pretty sure he was getting ready to form the Gate Crashers. with Vance Archer. In fact, he may have actually just gotten out of that with the Gate Crashers with Vance Archer. Which, what a sentence to say right there. Kurt Hawkins and Vance Archer were in a tag team called the Gate Crashers. Wow. Yeah, sure. He's coming out with a can. Key plot point for later on in the show. As he comes out, he hides tries to hide underneath the ring. Scott Armstrong's your referee. That's the only note for refs that I made in this one, just because I love Scott Armstrong. Before we get started in this matchup between Gabriel and Hawkins, there's a Botchamania sign, which, goddamn, Matthew, I didn't know you were doing Botchamania back then. Like, Lord, bud. So, Botchamania sign on the crowd. Survivor Series is 10 days away. If you're unfamiliar with which Survivor Series this is, it's the one where when John Cena and The Rock team up. I stopped watching after ECW closed its doors in 2010 and picked back up just before Royal Rumble 2012. So this is in that dark period where I never watched any of this. I haven't gone back to watch any of this except some episode of Superstars. Cool. Looking at some of the stuff that they were doing at this time just makes me kind of glad that I wasn't watching. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be a fan today. Match gets started out. It's good Shane wrestling, just the way I like it. To start us off, these two are both very good workers. Gabriel sends Hawkins scrambling to the outside. Hawkins getting ready to get back in the ring. Gabriel meets him with I can't do this justice. He grabs the top rope, jumps through over the top of the middle rope, and drop kicks him right in the face. So as soon as that happens, I'm like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Just before that happens, after he does that, I'm like, here it comes. Here comes the Gabriel special, corkscrew plancha, and corkscrew body press happens right after that. God, Justin Gabriel's so good. As Gabriel's throwing Hawkins back in the ring, Matt Striker, with the first gem of the night, mentions that the guys get paid less if they win by countout. Thank you, Matt. I enjoy that little tidbit. I know other people are probably like rolling their eyes when they hear that, but I enjoyed that. Thank you, Matt Striker. I appreciate you. Gabriel throws Kurt Hawkins in the ring first. Hawkins recovers. As Gabriel's stepping in between the ropes, Kurt catches him with a big old knee strike. And then traps his leg. And when he does that, Gabriel gets sent flying, but his legs get trapped between the middle and bottom ropes. So after that, it's Hawkins starting to work on that knee. Gabriel tries to fight out. Gets a little bit of offense going, but it gets shut down by Hawkins with a massive clothesline. A little more working on Gabriel. Gabriel gets up a few strikes, then just hits the biggest rolling forearm I've seen in a long time. And this is where the pace of the match really started to pick up a little bit. That big rolling forearm, Gabriel goes up, kick to the knee by Hawkins as he's down trying to recover, and a big old scoop slam by Hawkins. Gabriel responds. He gets up after Hawkins is working him over a little bit more, taunting towards the crowd. Hawkins goes for a clothesline, misses, swings around, sit-out powerbomb by Justin Gabriel, only gets a 2 count. And Matt Striker, with gem number 2 of the night on this one, says, I wonder if Justin Gabriel's knee was at 100% if he would have gotten the 3 right there. Thank you, Matt. This is why we love you. So Hawkins is laid out. Justin Gabriel goes up to the top, looking for the 450. Hawkins shuts him down. And Hawkins then hits a big back superplex from the top rope. As he's doing that, he goes for the cover, kick out at 2 by Gabriel. So Gabriel's kicked out. Hawkins is like, oh, what do I do? He gets an idea. He goes for his cane that he hid underneath, like, so there's the apron of the ring where it hooks over the top of the mat. He hid it underneath there. So it's still on top of the mat, but it's hidden. Goes for it, gets it out, gets met by an enziguri by Gabriel. Gabriel grabs the top rope, does a full back rotation off of it to get up top, 450 splash, picks up the victory. Crowd loved it. Good little match between these two. I'll give it 2 out of 5 stars. It was a nice basic story, and with these two, you can't go wrong. It had everything looked clean. There was nothing that was too sloppy. So we go to commercial break, and when we come back, we hear Alex Riley's theme music, and he gets a big pop. Alex Riley was hot at this time. This was the same year that he beat The Miz at Capital Punishment, I do believe. So, and he had just turned on him, earlier in that year. So he was still a big thing at this point. He wasn't turned into Jobber Deluxe that he unfortunately would be coming up. As Riley's coming out to the ring, Matt Striker plugs WWE 12. Man, I miss playing that game. That was a good game. I still have my PlayStation 3. I might pick up WWE 12, honestly. Then we hear some theme music, and it's Curtis Axel, but it's not Curtis Axel. It's Michael McGillicuddy. He had I won't say stock theme. It's kind of in the same vein that Bray Wyatt's theme was in WWE, where it was from like some website where you could purchase the rights to it. It's not a bad song. It's your generic mid or late 2000s rock. So, But he's coming out. He's got a backwards hat on. I have no idea what his character is. And as I get put down in a vacuum, I'm like, what the hell are you? At least Alex Riley is coming out. The announcers are saying that he's a former quarterback at Boston College. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, good for him, So they get started. Speaking of plugging where guys were from, as this match is happening, Josh Matthews says, you keep talking about Alex Riley's athletic credentials. Let's not forget, Michael McGillicuddy was drafted at shortstop. Okay, I couldn't find anything on it, but I'll take your word, Josh. Normal shtick to get things started out. Cheap shot by McGillicuddy to get things kicked off. Taunts the crowd. Alex Riley's sitting there like, come on, bro. Then a big hip toss by Alex Riley to McGillicuddy. Josh, meanwhile, is plugging Alex Riley's career at Boston College, where he was a quarterback. Then he got converted to linebacker. You think at that size. Riley's doing some good offense. Axel cuts him off. He's frantic in the ring, and he goes right into a chin lock. It is just, he was going a million miles an hour and then just locks in a chin lock out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, whatever. At this time, A-Rai gets out. McGillicuddy busts out a psycho line out of nowhere, which if you're not familiar with a psycho line, it's the one where you go for the clothesline, they duck it, and you hit them for the back of the head with the clothesline. He just breaks out a psycho line. I'm like, oh, okay. And he doesn't go for the cover after it. Like, what the hell? Works him into the corner. He's hitting him. He's peppering him with shots, standard heel work. He's getting some nice punches, decent punches in. Riley does a comeback. Shoulder tackle, a kind of crossbody-esque thing. And then he ends it with it was an alright spine buster. But I'm looking at Riley during this match and going, he should have been something in WWE. He had the look, he had the talent, he had the charisma. He looked pretty good. Riley hooks up McGillicuddy, hits him with a TKO for the win. It's a basic match. You could still tell Alex Riley was very green in this in this matchup. I give it a 1.5 out of 5 stars. It's pretty good. Basic match. We go to commercial break. When we come back, they plug Survivor Series. Punk versus Del Rio. Rock and Cena versus The Miz and R-Truth. What the hell have I just dropped myself into? Daniel Bryan's music hits, and I'm reminded this is pre-Yes Chance. And I am severely upset about that when it happens. Also at this time, he's Mr. Money in the Bank. And when this is being announced, I find out, or I'm listening, and I go, who is that ring announcer? I have to look it up. The ring announcer for this matchup is the future Brandy Rhodes. So just everyone involved, wrestling-wise, commentators, ring announcers, no one's with the company anymore. They're just all gone. They recap what happened in the last episode of SmackDown. Bryan and Mark Henry were having a matchup, and the Big Show interfered, knocked down Henry, tried to have Bryan cash in. He didn't. Henry caught him in the World's Strongest Slam before he could get to cash in. And because of that, we're getting a rematch of Bryan versus Henry on SmackDown the next week. Thank God I don't have to watch that. And then the man comes out. From the first note, the arena explodes. William Regal has arrived. The man has returned to England. He's getting he's getting a standing ovation, and halfway down the ring, they switch his theme to the Real Man's Man theme from back in the early days of the WWF, with him in the WWF. Everyone's laughing. They switch it back on by the time he gets to the ring apron, gets ready to step in. At this time, everyone's just laughing. And as soon as that ends, and they're getting ready to ring the bell, Regal chants. And there's big Regal chants throughout this entire matchup. I paused it right here before the match started. We were looking at about 12-ish minutes of a match that we were going to have. And I knew it was going to be good. So I hadn't watched this matchup before. When I saw what the main event was, I'm like, okay, no, we ain't watching this yet. And guess what starts off this matchup? Good old chain wrestling, working the holds, reversal attempts, and trying to get a reversal or get out of those holds that make sense. You're not seeing, let's jump off the rope 15 times and still have the hold locked in. No. Regal had a wrist lock locked in, and Bryan was doing, he did the on the back, pin up with your head, try to vault out of it, try to get underneath it, and he couldn't do it after a few times. Finally gets out of it. He goes for a drop kick. Regal avoids it. As Bryan's getting back up, Regal's just sitting there doing the Akembe Mutombo, and he's smiling the whole time. And we go right back to chain wrestling. This is the sweet stuff of wrestling. As I'm watching this, they're having a great exchange back and forth. Bryan fights out of one of them fights out of an attempt. Pretty convincingly shoves Regal to the ropes, and as he is able to break the hold, he slaps Regal across the face. Fans not happy with it, and they answer back Daniel Bryan's response to that with "Who are you?" chants. So that was great to hear. And then we have an uppercut off. One uppercut by Regal, another uppercut by Bryan. Regal responds by just giving him 3 uppercuts right in a row. Bryan's on the mat. We get a test of strength. Bryan loses to Regal, so Bryan's doing a back bridge, kicks up, and as he's doing it, he transitions it into a big German suplex. Regal rolls to the outside. As Regal's on the outside, Bryan gets on the apron, and a big running knee strike off the apron takes Regal down. We go to commercial. And I could not wait for this matchup to get back from commercial. And I can tell you this, it only gets better from here. As we come back from the commercial, great shinlock applied by Bryan, not your conventional one. He has, where it's the meaty part of your forearms, clasping down on your cheeks towards the end. And he's got it gripped up there. And that's where he's applying the pressure from. Very unique way of doing it. I really liked it. At this point in the match, I realized Regal is the face. He's the face in this one. Regal breaks it to the corner. And he just starts delivering shoulder blocks and chops to the face. Referee has to step in and he gets to the count of 4. Regal says, I broke it at 4. Then he does the Catholic prayer thing, and I just had to pause it, and I was dying laughing watching Regal do that, and then put his hands together for prayer. I'm just like, what the hell is happening? Because of that, Bryan starts kicking him, because he's gotten room, and he kicks Regal into the corner, and he continues to kick him. He starts to work the leg in the corner, which conveniently at this time you see a wrap around Regal's left knee. God, that is such good storytelling on that, to where that's when it's revealed, and then, Bryan goes, I'm gonna work that knee. So he does. He just starts working the leg. Regal responds to this by just going, fuck it, I'm gonna kill you, and hits a half and half suplex where Bryan gets dumped on his head. It was the most brutal half and half I've seen. And then how does he follow it up? Regal puts in the Dragon Sleeper! When was the last time you saw a Dragon Sleeper? God, and Regal was doing it from a squatting position too. So he wasn't, it wasn't like the Gulak where, whatever. It was kind of closer to when Undertaker did it a little bit, but Bryan was like on his knees leaning backwards. I love how as I'm trying to explain it, I'm trying to get into the positions that they were doing. When Regal realizes it's not working, he just starts beating the shit out of Daniel Bryan with strikes. He tries to go for a knee strike. He does some knee strikes, but that's his downfall, opening up the knee to Bryan, and Bryan begins to work that knee, to which Bryan puts on a knee submission that I've never seen before. And if you don't know my history with my knee injuries, I had to have my left meniscus completely removed from my body. And the angle that Bryan was torquing on that knee, oh, God. It was brutal looking. I don't know how Regal was okay, I guess. I don't know. But Regal fights out of it, gets up to his feet. As a former amateur wrestler, this I loved. Regal gets up to his feet. Bryan goes, get back down here, and ankle picks William Regal. Amateur wrestling at its finest right there by Bryan. Once again, another submission locked in. Regal fights it off. Then Regal hits an uppercut, or hits an ankle pick of his own, which, it was so good. Bryan fights it off. The attempts by Regal down at the bottom. So we have another uppercut off. And this is a solid uppercut. They got like 4 or 5 uppercuts each until Bryan just goes, that's it, I'm ending this man's career. And a massive roundhouse kick to the head. It sounded like a gunshot. LaBelle lock put in. Bryan wins. The crowd just starts booing. This was a goddamn great matchup. Bryan and Regal shake hands. The crowd applauds Regal. 4 out of 5 stars. Underrated matchup. And they buried it on Superstars, of all places, on WWE.com. God, it was such a good match. I didn't even do it justice. Seek it out. Seek it out, seek it out, seek it out, seek it out, seek it out. Little backstory from Superstars for you. Superstars ran from 2009 until 2016. And like I said earlier, the best Superstars was easily from 2009 till beginning of 2012, mainly when they were on WGN America. Because, I mean, you had some crazy matchups. Charlie Haas was still at the company at the time. I don't remember why I remember this matchup, but we had Charlie Haas and Mike Knox as a tag team. I don't remember who they faced, but it's just, it was the perfect, like, you look at it and you're like, oh, those guys were still at the company. That's weird to think about. Or, honestly, it's a lot of that. But it was, overall grading for the show, it was actually a pretty good show. Probably a little bit too much on the recaps for me, but oh well. The best part about it was only about a 35-minute show. 36 minutes. It was pretty quick. It was really good. But yeah, that was Superstars from November 10th, 2011. Yeah, I mean, just wow, what a show. Easily entertained by that. Survivor Series, not entertained at all. The releases that happened this week, obviously I wasn't entertained. Things that I am entertained about. So, this is episode 10 of We Are Not Entertained. I would love to have Tommy here, but he's not here. I gotta confirm with him next week what he's doing. I may be doing this podcast by myself again next week, in which case, that's fun. But as we are sitting here, I will reveal what we will be reviewing this coming week, or this on the next episode of We Are Not Entertained, as I've now got to go into my YouTube account here and figure out which one I had there. Oh, that ain't what I wanted. I do believe it's under my watch laters. Yes, that's right. The next thing that I will be reviewing here on We Are Not Entertained is the first episode of Heels, Season 1. It's free on YouTube, so I will watch that. Hopefully it's, pretty good. I'd hope. I mean, I've heard great things about it, but we are going to find out ourselves. And we're going to see what Heels is all about here next week on We Are Not Entertained. And I think it's going to be a great card, honestly, or a great show next week anyway. So we will bring you a late episode of, or a late top moments of We Are Not Entertained. Since this was the 10th, we were supposed to do that, but I didn't get to Tommy in time to talk about it. So, until next week, let's see, anything to plug? This episode of B-Card Entertainment that's coming up this week is going to be debut on Thursday. It's going to be an extra big, extra long episode of BTT for the specific reason of it's Thanksgiving. You could say it's a stuffed lineup. I have dad jokes. But until B-Card Entertainment. Oh, yes. Follow B-Card Entertainment on Twitter at BCardYT. Been a lot of roasting of me and Tommy recently. Mainly Tommy. It's really actually been quite interesting. But definitely go give them a follow. Lovely work that our social media team does there. Also, go follow me as well, Brock Gorton, at Brock Gorton 99 on Twitter. Go follow Tommy Haley at Dude Rex at Dude_Rex 14. And any other updates? The big project that me and Tommy are working on is coming along slowly but surely. It takes a lot to do this, especially when the holidays have come up. But It's really coming along. I'm staring at the script of it right now. It's increased in size. It was 10 pages the last time I talked to y'all. It's now up to 13. And it's probably only going to get bigger. But until Thursday, I have to say that and remember that, Thursday, on Big Time Talkers, I've been Brock Dorton. That's been my Fish Diamond. That's been my Dog Bandit. We'll see you all next week, folks. Good night, everybody.